How's the punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. We're going to have a lot of recaps. We had quite a successful week last week. We're going to be taking a look at some of the upcoming matches in the Champions League and the Premier League. That's going to be in our preview section, but it's otherwise going to be mostly a recap show. Simon, pretty good with the bets last week. Let's start out in the Champions League where you like Real Madrid at almost 3-1 to beat Chelsea,
Yeah,
and beat Chelsea they did. Benzema came in there with a hat trick.
yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, it was a fantastic match. I mean, I was very glad that I actually encouraged people to take that outright match winner price rather than the double chance or the draw no bet. I mean, Benzema and he really proved that a purple patch can come kind of late in your career, didn't he? He was unstoppable. I just the speed and accuracy at which he can execute a header is just to me incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're saying he's becoming now. He's like he's like one of the world's best strikers, or he's hitting his form. But I don't know. I've seen this so many times with Benzema where he has a really rich vein
on
of
and
form,
off.
and then he just falls off completely.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless of that, let's just look at those 90 minutes. I mean, he was
Yeah,
he was fantastic. Really, really great. Yeah. Obviously, we'll look at the upcoming match, which is going to be the
second
reverse
leg.
fixture
Yeah,
second leg today. But that was a really great performance from Real Madrid. Very nice bets. I really liked that one. Glad that one came in. Yeah, Man City wasn't as dominant as we expected when they welcomed Atletico to the Etihad. I suppose one thing maybe we didn't factor in quite as much as we should have is Simeone's ability to just park the bus better than any
yes.
manager. I mean, Atletico didn't register a single shot on or off target that entire match. How
But
crazy is that?
yeah, 1-0 is not a great result for City there, though. Considering, like, look, it's a win, and yes, it's we much rather have that.
Yeah,
But of all the results, of all the wins they could have had, I'm sure they would have been much happier
yeah,
with a 2-0 because going to
yeah. That
Atletico, Atletico pick up a 1-0 win there, and then suddenly you've got to go to overtime, extra time penalties.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's why I was glad I tipped up the -1 Asian handicap, so that would have
Mm,
obviously resulted in a void. But also, I was quite surprised actually that there were so many goals in the Benfica Liverpool match.
yes,
I was expecting that game to be but I thought Liverpool would just kind of sit back and try to nick a goal and just sort of play quite conservatively. But it was actually it ended up 3-1 to the visitors being Liverpool, and it was actually a more exciting match than I anticipated.
and then the only surprise of the week was Villareal beating Bayern, which I thought was a bit
Yeah,
of a shocker.
absolutely. I mean, a huge shock. Obviously, that was their Bayern's away fixture, but still, you just kind of expected them
Yeah, Bayern dominating that game
vying for revenge.
and just
Yeah,
not managing to get a goal. So going to be interesting
yeah.
going to the second leg, but I still think that Bayern are going to be the heavy favourites to
Of
progress
course.
there.
I mean, look, coming home in the second leg to kind of obviously, turn things around is a lot more tricky than traveling and playing away from home. So I think they will rectify their wrongs of last week and probably win quite convincingly.
And then jumping over to some of the EPL over the weekend, we'll get to that big match. But Everton beat Man United. Drama
Yeah.
there with Ronaldo smashing phones and being all
Yeah.
angry and
Yeah, I mean it's funny though you say that it's obviously the first shock of the weekend being quite an early fixture on Saturday, United dropping all 3 points. But then again, I mean I don't know, is anything much of a shock when either of these sides play anymore? You know,
yes.
it's like Everton are just the perpetual underperformers, and so United really I never get surprised anymore when United get a result like this. They really have become a bit of a, I don't want to say mediocre side,
No,
but
also ran.
they're yeah. I mean, I just can't see how this huge gulf between their talent on paper and their performances on the field can last for so long. It's unreal to me.
Yeah, I really think there's going to be a new manager. I think they're talking about Ten Hag coming in or
Yeah.
someone else. But we'll see. We'll see about that. Then Arsenal losing to Brighton. That kind of surprised me. I expected Arsenal to pick up a win there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually puts Spurs now three
Mm,
shots ahead of the Gunners on the table. So, yeah, that was a very, very nice result for Spurs and a
yes.
bit of a shock result for Arsenal. That's obviously their second loss now because they lost 3-0 to Palace the week before. So,
Yeah.
yeah, bit of a dip in form from the Gunners.
And Chelsea coming in with a massive win over Southampton, 6 goals, 6-0. Uh, they
Yeah,
were bound to bounce back after that last result. So
yeah,
6-0. I mean, I didn't catch much of the game. Caught some highlights. Not really too exciting. Well, it's not too exciting watching a 6-0 from a neutral perspective, but good showing from Chelsea there. And then the one I fancied was Spurs. Spurs picking up a comfortable win against Aston
Yeah,
Villa 4-0. That price was just way off
yeah.
mark and paid off quite handsomely. So I think we did pretty well with our Premier League bets.
We did, yeah, and let's not forget to talk about obviously the highlight fixture, which
Yes.
was yesterday or day before yesterday, Sunday, City Liverpool, which I mean certainly lived up to the billing. Fantastic. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, I just love watching him play. He's by far to me the best midfielder in the midfielder in the world. He kind of got things going there. I think 6th minute he got on the score sheet, and then the team sort of traded goals from there on out. But I must say, despite never going behind, City never looked comfortable in the lead, and you always sort of felt that Liverpool were just going to
Mm,
respond with a goal as soon as they scored. So I think overall, I think a draw was a very fair result, and I know that's kind of the result we expected. I certainly couldn't pick a winner, especially at the odds that
mm,
the bookmakers had priced it. City even money. I thought people would be quite tempted by that price, but I wasn't gonna bet against Liverpool in that spot. So
no.
I think a draw was the right result, and that's what we got.
I ended up going with the draw for my prediction on that, just because the odds were the only decent thing that were there, and I just, as I said, couldn't separate the
Yeah,
two sides. So that was the right call in the end. And then Simon,
yeah,
let's jump over to a bit of golf, the Masters. I know you picked up a
yeah.
very very nice win there
Oh,
with your pick. Who was leading from what, day two, I think already.
yeah, he was nearly a Y-to-Y winner. Yeah, you're right. So he led through the days, but yeah, all the stars aligned. I'm so glad because I can't tell you how many times I've been in this position before. I've been on a leader going into the final round and all the wheels come off. So I was really, really happy. And obviously, not only to get a winner, but to get a winner at odds of 45-1 when his price on just before the Master started on Thursday was around 16.
Yes,
So
crazy. I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, so I took him at the beginning of the season, so it was fantastic. Yeah, so first major for him and 4 PGA wins this season already for Scheffler, which is incredible. I mean, if you think how long the season's still got to go, that's so. Just to put that into perspective, most times the top player wins 3 PGA. He gets 3 PGA wins in a season. He's
Yeah,
already
throughout the
on
entire season. Yeah.
yeah, he's already on 4, and the season's only really just began. So, and just another little fact: the record for the most wins ever in a season is 18
Oh.
by Byron Nelson in 1945.
Okay. Well, it's going
Yeah,
back 80
it
years.
goes
I was thinking maybe there's a Tiger Woods season somewhere in there. I don't
well.
know.
Tiger is not far behind him. Funny enough, he is far behind him in terms of wins, but he's second or third, and his record is 8.
Wow,
So
even
even
that's
though, yeah,
incredible.
it is incredible, but yeah, I mean, I think you got to. There's obviously a little bit of you get the rub of the green, right? When you're winning 18 times, there's definitely a bit of luck involved there. You must have been so close not to winning so many times. But yeah, going back to the Masters. Yeah, I must say I was cautiously optimistic going into that Sunday because I did have Cam Smith and Shane Lowry as well. I bet on them, and they were sort of looking over Scheffler's shoulder on the final day. So it was quite it wasn't the sweat that it could have been, which I was
Yeah,
quite grateful
he
for.
had quite a nice lead. I think it was a 5-shot lead at one stage, and
Yeah, and then
or
but the way that Sunday started out,
oh, he started
things
badly.
changed.
Yeah.
It started really badly, and I thought, oh dear, here we go. This is what always happens to me when I have a leader or I have someone that's right in the hunt. They're just going to flop. And he pulled it right back. So it was great. He ended up winning by 3 shots.
Yeah, it was
But
McElroy came charging up
no,
just
McElroy
right
shot
at
eight,
too little, too
7.
late.
Yeah, he shot 7 under on the Sunday, and yeah, he ended up on his own in second place. So yeah, you kind of feel that if the tournaments had lasted another day, McElroy probably would have won. Um, yeah, but looking at the tournament overall, I mean, the Masters was definitely made trickier by those high winds on Friday and Saturday, which I really enjoyed. Greens were tough as they always are, which is great to see. You would see players lining up putts like at a 90-degree angle from the hole. Move with having the ball having to weave in 3 or 4 directions before reaching the hole, which is always just amazing to watch. I love how challenging they make the greens, and obviously with a bit of wind in play as well. It really made things interesting.
And the new course layout or the
Well, I
pin
think,
movements.
to be honest, I think that was all sort of overset by the wind. Like, so obviously, sure, it was slightly trickier being slightly longer, but I think the fact that the wind was blowing was way more of a factor than the course being slightly longer. So it just, I mean, depending on when you teed off, I mean, you'd often see players lining up a shot and then they would get a huge gust of wind and then they would just stand back. It was very tricky. And obviously that makes it, for some players teeing off at different times will have much less or more wind than others. So it keeps things interesting for sure.
All right, then let's jump over to Australia, where we had Leclerc picking for Ferrari, picking up a win there
Mm,
over a pretty comfortable win actually over
yeah.
Perez in the Red Bull, followed by Russell and Hamilton once again finishing off podium. Verstappen retired,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah.
yeah, look, overall, I wouldn't say the most exciting race. Certainly the least exciting of the three so far. But there were very interesting takeaways from this race, I must say. So as you said, you mentioned Verstappen retired. He had a fuel leak, and then Carlos Sainz, who qualified really nicely and was looking fast. He actually won a couple of he didn't finish in pole, but he started in pole, but he won a couple of the qualifying sessions. He spun out on lap 2, so that ended his race prematurely. But the thing was, even if Max was able to stay out, obviously he had that fuel leak and wasn't able to. But even if he had stayed out, I don't think he would have won because he had very bad graining in his front left tire. So Red Bull didn't quite get their strategy right there. So it was really just, obviously brilliant driving from Leclerc, but Ferrari just had the better strategy in terms of the tires and the degradation there. But what was really interesting for me about this race, outside of who won and so on, was just the performance from McLaren and Mercedes. So McLaren have been absolutely terrible so far. They really have been. They've been bottom of the pile the last 2 races, and suddenly they were in contention this weekend. Lando Norris finished fifth, and Ricciardo finished sixth. So obviously nice for Ricciardo to score some points in his home Grand Prix, being an Aussie. But Mercedes also performed much better. As you mentioned, George Russell got his first podium. Hamilton coming in fourth. And Hamilton was actually a bit unlucky with one particular pit stop. It could have been much better for him. So he lost a bit of time there. But so yeah, look, it's too early to count any chickens. But I think the fact that both McLaren and Mercedes both use a Mercedes engine and performed well this weekend might just indicate that some of the problems they're experiencing, at least with the power unit, may have been partially resolved. But it's a bit too early to tell. But it's definitely the signs are there now that Mercedes might be turning a corner. And as I said, they drive the same engine, so there's a very good chance that both McLaren and Mercedes will pick up form together.
I know Hamilton's come out making a few demands with the changes that need to be made,
Hmm.
to save his season. You think
Yeah,
the season for them is savable for
I
the likes of
do.
Verstappen and Red Bull? I mean,
For
well,
Verstappen,
Verstappen and Hamilton, two different constructors, obviously, but
um, I mean, look, I think for Mercedes, as I mentioned every time, I think on every part of the season, we are very early doors. It's still, there's now 19 races to go. The way look, again, you don't want to take too much don't want to take too much from one race, but the fact that both McLaren and Mercedes look much better, I think that, I mean, I would not be surprised to see Hamilton with a win in the next 4 or 5 races, especially if they're getting their car right where it should be, and the fact that you can kind of correlate these two teams a little bit because they're driving with the same engine. I think that there's good signs, at least good signs for both teams there. But yeah, I think that Hamilton certainly has a shot still at this early doors in the season. Definitely,
still early doors, but they're
it
still
is
in there with a chance.
absolutely.
Right, then moving on to some cricket. The one thing I really didn't follow this weekend, even though it's probably one of my favorite sports, is South Africa
Mm.
versus Bangladesh, the second test. We
Yeah,
dominated
more
the
of the
first.
same. I
With
mean, absolutely, more of the same from the Proteas. They won by 332 runs. I mean, it was over in the very early doors in the first session of day 4. So, yeah, I mean, we continued to have a good showing with the bats. That backed up with, I think Maharaj has become such an asset.
mm,
Great slow bowler. Simon Harmer also, he's not a spinner, but he's a slow bowler. I mean, Maharaj was named Player of the Series, and I think Simon Harmer must have been a close second because he also bowled really, really well in both tests. Um, I mean, Maharaj in particular, 7 wickets from 40 runs in the second innings of Bangladesh. So again, brilliant figures.
Didn't
That's
well,
a
well,
quite,
didn't he have something like that in the first
yes,
test? So
yes. I
gosh,
think I think it was for I think I would have to go back, but I think it was 7 for 30 something odd. So he did. I mean, it was almost as good.
14 wickets. I mean, wow, that's
Yeah, that's exactly 14 wickets out of that's just in 2 innings of the 4 innings, right, in the series. So really, really good stuff. And we'll play a 5-match T20 series against India on the 9th of June. So, but up until then, it'll really just be IPL. So the Proteas will have a bit of a rest now until then. But I think that 5-match T20 series will be
is
awesome
that going
against
to be
India.
in South Africa?
I think that's in the subcontinent. That's there.
Ah,
Yeah,
drats. That's
yeah,
unfortunate. It would
yeah,
have been nice to head down and watch some
yeah,
T20 at the stadium. I don't think I quite have the patience for a test match at the stadium these days.
yeah. Sure.
But yeah, it would be cool to see that. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the weekend of sports that happened. We're gonna jump over to the Champions League rematches, or the second legs, which are taking place tonight. And yeah, let's start off. Or let me get them up here first. Let me get them in the right order. Let's not start off with the wrong ones. It's Bayern versus Villareal. I don't see Bayern losing this one. I think I said that in the last one, but if there's a banker, it's probably going to be this one for me. Bayern to beat Villa, 1-0 down from the first leg,
Yeah.
1.28. Not the greatest odds, but also not the worst odds.
Yeah, look, I mean, you got to expect that they're going to take this one by the kahunas. I mean, I would still be hesitant to back Bayern on the handicap.
Just looking at that.
Villarreal is a very resilient side, and I think they've proved they're more than capable of soaking up the pressure. So, look, I mean, I would guess this is going to be like a 3 or 4 nil result, but I would still be very careful of backing Bayern on the handicap. I'd actually rather throw them in an acca with somebody just on the match odds.
They're gonna have to cover the handicap in order to go through. You know,
They need at least a 2-0 result. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be three
yeah,
one. It's going to have to be by two clear
yeah.
goals, just because of that
That's a
first
good
leg goal
point.
by Villa. So I mean, it's one
Good
point
point.
seven one for the 1.5. However, I'm trying to see if I can find Bayern and over 1.5, 1.34. No. Okay, no,
Too short.
that's way too short. Yeah, so probably, I mean, if I was going to have a bet here, I'd probably take the -1.5, even though the 1.7 is not the best. I still feel that's probably the best bet for the
Yeah.
Bayern fixture.
Yeah, and then I mean, I think the Chelsea Real Madrid game is going to be interesting. That's obviously at the Bernabeu now.
You don't reckon that's going to be a bit of a dead rubber? I mean,
I don't know. Look, I don't know. I think Chelsea are going to be fun to watch tonight.
yeah,
I really do.
that's it. That's true.
Yeah, I think they are, and to be honest, I think there's actually I'm not sure if there's any value in this price, but I would still fancy them on the draw no bet here, 2.03 with G bets. Look, I mean, you can read into it if you want to. 6-0 drubbing of Southampton. I mean, it's no great shakes in the context of the Champions League, is it? But
No,
I still think Chelsea are a top class side, and I think you might be getting a bit of a discount here. I mean, I think that when they're with their backs up against the wall, I think backing on them, betting on them basically not to lose and getting slightly over even money. I mean, I think a draw is a very likely
I
result
think a
here.
draw is the most likely result. Yeah.
But I would certainly rather take Chelsea on the draw no bet than Real Madrid. I think there's a bit more value there.
Well,
So yeah, I think
over 2.5 goals, 1.73.
yeah, yeah, that's about where it should be, I guess. I would also shade that slightly the over. Yeah, I mean it probably will go over.
Maybe both teams to score 1.6 is not very tempting though.
No, I don't. I agree with that. I agree with that completely. Yeah, I think if I'm not, this is certainly not a strong pick of mine, but I would fancy Chelsea drawing a bet, yeah, if I was gonna have a stab at this.
Okay, and then Atletico taking on City. Quite an interesting fixture. This one, City playing away from home. I like. I mean, City should win this one, but you also just can't discount Atletico, and it's a nice spot for Atletico because they're only 1-0 down. However,
Mm,
if City score a goal, it's pretty much game over, I feel,
yeah,
so I'm thinking maybe both teams to score at 1.94 is a good bet here.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, backing Atletico to score a goal anytime is always,
It
they're
is.
just involved in so many unders games. And look, Simeone's going to have a very different tactic in this match. I mean, obviously, when he went to the Etihad, he was literally just on par, lost the match. But I mean, they only lost 1-0, which puts them in a position now to attack this game. So I think that you make a good point. I mean, they have to go after this, right? What else can they do?
Yeah.
They can't sit back against City and so they have to go out to get it. So you know what? I actually quite like. What is the both teams to score price there?
1.94. It's
Wow,
actually it's I must say it's a
that is
very well
quite
priced
nice.
market. Even the no is 1.84, and you can probably make an argument for both of those.
Sure.
But
Okay.
I do like that both teams to score.
Yeah, look, I mean, City can shut anyone out, right? But
Mm,
Simeone's done such a good job of holding that, that match to just one goal last week. You'd think he's going to go out there and really do his best. I think that's quite nice. I think both teams to score that 1 point, what you said, 1.94. That looks like quite a juicy price, actually.
it is a juicy price. So let's go on to the next one. The last Champions League match, Liverpool versus Benfica. I don't think there's really too much that needs to be said about this match. Liverpool going there with such a good lead, such good form, playing at home. 1.28 I feel is pretty pretty generous on Liverpool. I would have put that more at like 1.2 myself.
Yeah.
So I think maybe a double with Liverpool and Bayern. 1.64 in total is
Is
not
yeah.
a bad bet.
Look, Liverpool have obviously had quite a grueling match against City on Sunday. This is only not even 48 hours later, so that's one thing maybe to consider. Liverpool might be a little bit wary, but that's just a small consideration. But yeah, I can't really argue with that, Rob.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. Well, I'm not going to say it's the least exciting of the matches, but I think it's the one that's kind of decided already.
Yeah,
Whereas I think the most exciting one to watch is probably going to be the Real Madrid versus Chelsea game,
it
because it's
should
two
be.
two top teams with a top team that's far behind. We've seen the situations before.
Yeah.
They are very unpredictable. So I think, and especially Chelsea coming with that 6-0 win.
Yeah,
But
I mean, even for me, even perhaps, Chelsea draw no bet and under 2.5 combined or something. You probably that might be a bit of a longer shot. That might be worth looking at too.
right, then jumping over to the Premier League with Spurs taking on Brighton on the 16th. I think that's going to
Mm.
be a banker for Spurs. I'm going to be backing Spurs at the moment. I know it's crazy, but Brighton, like, yeah, sure, they might have beaten beaten Arsenal,
Yeah,
but it's Spurs, and Spurs are playing fairly well at the moment. They're maybe not in top form. They are in form. Brighton, sure, they beat a big side, although Arsenal, I would argue, maybe aren't a big side anymore. I'm going with Spurs again. They came in for me last week. I
mm.
got to jump on that Spurs train. I'm off the Newcastle train. I'm on the Spurs train. I won't be on the Spurs train when they come up against solid opposition. And when I mean
Yeah.
solid, I mean the other top four.
Well,
Top four
interesting you mentioned Newcastle actually, because I must say I was quite surprised to see them at such short odds
against Leicester.
against Leicester. I mean,
I like Leicester there.
I would have thought that Newcastle would be 15 to 10, or even a pick 'em, sort of 17 to 10 on each side, because I must say that doesn't look right to me. I would say, I mean, 12 to 10 on
No,
Newcastle.
it's madness.
No,
That's
I
madness.
think it's crazy. I really do. So I think Leicester City is the right side there. Um, but I wonder. I mean, last week you thought perfect bounce back spot for Arsenal, and now they're going to Southampton, who just got drubbed 6-0 by Chelsea. I wonder if the 1.93 on the Gunners is
I
going to
like
look like a
that.
gift
I do
on
like
Monday.
that. I do like that bet as well. And it's
Mm,
not because it's more fading Southampton
mm,
than it is taking Arsenal. Arsenal. So I followed. I read all the match reports. I watched a lot. I'm not trying to justify my pick too much here, but Arsenal. There were a lot of mistakes made in that Crystal Palace loss. A
yeah,
very bad team selection by Arteta.
yeah,
Once again, in the match after that, you had Zaka playing at left back. It was just some really bizarre decisions there by Arteta. So
mm,
it's two losses in a row. I don't think it's going to be a third. I think that 1.91 is just too good to turn down. Arsenal struggle against teams around them. and teams above them, but they'd have no trouble with teams below them if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And they are away from home. I do see them picking up a comfortable
Yeah,
win.
look, and obviously the fact that they've now lost, two in a row, that price would have been about 1.75, 1.8, no doubt. Even if they'd drawn one of those matches and won one, so I think you are getting a little bit of inflated price, as you say. Like, I'm not sure if I'm with you. I think it's more. I think I wouldn't worry too much about Southampton. I think it's for me. It's more about Arsenal will pull it together. But I think regardless. I think it's quite a nice price
Hmm.
on Arsenal. I can't see them losing again. I really can't.
I've added the double chance to my little accumulator that I've got going here, so we'll
Hmm.
pop that in there.
Yeah.
And then we have Newcastle Leicester. I mean, I want to back Leicester on the double chance here, 3.25. That's against Newcastle. You're getting 1.64 on Leicester or draw. I think this one's going to be a draw or a Leicester win. I
Yeah.
don't see Newcastle picking up a win against Leicester.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that into the accumulator as well.
Nice. No, that looks good.
Then West Ham versus Burnley. West Ham losing last week to the Bees, so that was a bit of a shocker for them.
Yeah, to Brentford. That's right. Yeah.
So I'm not getting involved there. We've also got Watford, Brentford. Really not too keen on making a pick there. And then I don't know. The next set of fixtures is next Tuesday, so we can have a quick chat about it. We see how our views change from between here and then it's Liverpool versus Man United.
Yeah, so we only have six games this game week, and then we've got some midweek action next week, and obviously Man United Liverpool, probably certainly the most celebrated fixture in English football, is coming up. Yeah, I mean,
Can't look past Liverpool, to be
you
honest.
you can't,
I
you
think their
really
price is
can't.
the gift, 1.45 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of where I expected it to be, but I mean I can't make a case for United. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily think you're getting the most value on Liverpool there, but I agree with you. You know, it's just a match that they are really gonna, they're not gonna take it lightly either, even though they're
No,
certainly the stronger side.
I mean
So
they're still fighting for that. They're 1 point behind City or whatever on the table.
exactly,
So
seven weeks to go now. They're 1 point behind. I mean, hopefully we're gonna have an epic title battle, and this. If they can get all 3 points here, and that's obviously one of the tougher fixtures that they're going to have remaining. That'll be fantastic for them. So I think they're gonna. I think they should do it.
yeah, I think they'll romp this one. To be honest,
Yeah. I mean, the handicap. How much? What you must be getting? What, even money on the -1 there, or maybe a bit more. Um,
let's have a look.
it's
I think the -1 might be a slight bridge too far, but
yeah,
we've got the where are we? Okay, all. Handicap -1. Okay, -1 is 1.44. Okay, that's all. -0.5. -1.5, basically -1 is 2.17. That's just not good enough for me, to be honest.
yeah. Well, I think
Maybe.
that the bookmakers are certainly taking into account Liverpool's a dominance at home and ability to just absolutely romp teams when they beat them. So, I think that you definitely struggle to find value on handicaps when it comes to Liverpool because they often beat teams by quite significant margins.
And Liverpool also going to be coming off quite a nice break after
Yeah,
the Champions League fixture. They have a bit of a rest. Whereas I'm
yeah.
not sure United playing in the Europa League. Europa League, something I haven't even looked at this
Me neither. Huh?
this season. Is it here? Anyway, wait. Here we go. Here we go. Let's have a quick look. I think they're out the Europa League, aren't they? Oh no, they're playing. Yeah, they must be out. They must be out. Yeah.
I remember getting them knocked out. I can't
Yes.
can't even for the life of me remember who did knock them out, but
Yes.
like Brugge or someone like that, if I recall.
So yeah. So both teams will look likely to be rest, but we'll pick up on that one in the next podcast.
Yeah,
So for my accumulator here, I've got Liverpool to beat Benfica, Bayern to beat Villareal. I've got Spurs to beat Brighton. I've got Arsenal double chance against Southampton, and I've got Leicester double chance against Newcastle, and that's paying 5.18. I'm going to put a podcast to 1 rand on that one, just so that we can See how that one does. That would be
Nice.
my predictions. I think my best bets. What's your best bet for the week?
I must say, you kind of talked me into that both teams to score with Atletico City. No, I don't have any strong selections. I must say, like I was very hot on Real Madrid last week. That panned out. I don't have a bet that strong this week, but I do like Chelsea draw no bet, but again, not in love with it. And I do like both teams to score in Man City, Atletico, but I don't really like anything in the Premier League, to be honest.
I like Spurs, but I don't want to give out a best bet at 1.53. I
Yeah.
feel that's a bit short, but that's probably going to be where I'm going. So
Yeah.
maybe some variations on that if you want, if guys want to go look into the match and find a little bit of extra value. Yeah, I'm going with Spurs. But yeah, I don't
Awesome.
think there's too much else happening in the betting world at the moment. Hollywood bets are still taking and or loading and unloading and adding and
The new
removing the
games.
pragmatic play games, so it's a bit difficult to keep track on what's going there. But they are coming. There's those
Yeah.
new split the pot games. I don't know if you saw
Yes.
Betway now have their own um, Lucky Seven game. So
Yes, I did see
it's
that.
through bet games, and I'm really curious as to why they would want to
Yeah,
do
this whole
that.
sort of white labeling idea is becoming quite popular. Obviously with the Spinazonke slots as well, you have hot Hollywood bets as opposed to hot fruit, and so on. I would love to. I mean, I'm not quite sure what sort of response they get to these games, but to me, it seems a bit pointless. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would understand it if they were to phase out the Lucky Seven game on Betway and then replace it with a Betway Lucky, the same game but just Betway branded. But they're not doing that.
Yeah,
It's just it's not even the same studio. It's a green
yeah.
screen. Uh,
But
yeah,
But just with regards to the pragmatic play and YGG Drizzle games, yeah, we got reviews on Betting Guide and Best Sports Betting on those new games available on Hollywood Bet. So yeah, check those out. You can see some how the games work and game reviews and just some general information about the software providers.
and hopefully Hollywood Bets can make up their mind because when I was streaming last week, when I did my write up, the game started at 20 cents, and when I was streaming, they were up to 12 rand a spin minimum.
Oh my gosh, it reminds me of that virtual sports platform that Sporting Bet were using at some point, when the minimum bet was also something ludicrous, like
Yes,
18 rand or
yes,
something.
€1 or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's buy
exactly.
product from Europe and let's leave it in the European like minimum bets because South
Yes.
Africans earn euros.
Yeah,
Crazy. It's celebrated here when you have a bookie that accepts a 1 rand bet. I
exactly.
think when you're
Exactly.
overseas, it's not really something that
No, you're right.
they celebrate. But yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of the podcast. I'm going with Spurs, and yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully, we have a good week like last week, but we don't have as many selections. But great week last week. Hope you guys made some profit, and we will catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.